Embracing divine purpose amid pain. Have you ever been in a season of life where it feels like everything is falling apart? The doors are slamming shut, the path ahead is blocked, and you're left wondering, God, where are you in all this? It's in those moments, when pain clouds your vision, that God is often doing his greatest work. Pain, as hard as it is to endure, is never without purpose in his hands. When we look at life through the lens of divine purpose, we see that our struggles, setbacks, and heartbreaks aren't the end of the story. They are catalysts for growth, tools for transformation, and stepping stones to the calling God has placed on our lives. Joseph, from the pit to the palace. One of the most powerful examples of God turning pain into purpose is the story of Joseph. Joseph's life could be the plot of an epic drama. Beloved by his father, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. And yet, through every trial, God was working behind the scenes, preparing Joseph for a destiny far greater than he could have imagined. Imagine being Joseph for a moment. You've just shared your God-given dream with your brothers, a dream that one day you would rise to a position of great influence. But instead of celebrating with you, they throw you into a pit, sell you into slavery, and fake your death. That's betrayal on a level most of us can't fathom. Joseph could have given up right there. He could have let the pain consume him, let bitterness take root. But he didn't. Why? Because Joseph trusted that God was still in control. Even in slavery, Joseph worked with excellence. Even in prison, he kept his faith. And because of that faith, God elevated him from the pit to the palace, making him second in command over all of Egypt. What's even more remarkable is that Joseph's rise to power wasn't just about him, it was about saving lives. When famine struck the land, Joseph's position allowed him to provide food for countless people, including the very brothers who betrayed him. He told them in Genesis 50 verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Pain as a platform for purpose. The story of Joseph teaches us a profound truth. Pain is not wasted in God's hands. What the enemy means for evil, God uses for good. You see, pain has a way of preparing us for our purpose. It humbles us, strengthens us, and sharpens our character. Think about it. Diamonds are formed under immense pressure. Gold is refined in the fire. And in the same way, our challenges refine us, shaping us into the people God created us to be. Take a moment to think about your own life. Maybe you've faced rejection, loss, or failure. It's tempting to let those experiences define you, to believe the lie that you're broken beyond repair. But let me tell you something, your pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of something greater. Romans 8 verse 28 promises us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not just the good things, but the painful things too, are being worked together for your good and his glory. The growth hidden in pain. Pain often feels like a thief, stealing our joy and peace. But what if it's actually a teacher? What if the very challenges we try to avoid are the ones that help us grow the most? Look at Moses. Before he led the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness. That season of isolation and uncertainty was painful, but it prepared Moses to lead with humility and depend entirely on God. Without the wilderness, Moses wouldn't have been ready for his divine assignment. Your wilderness season might feel endless right now. It might feel like God has forgotten you, but trust me, he hasn't. He's using this time to prepare you, to mold you, to equip you for what's ahead. Choosing faith over fear. When we're in the middle of pain, it's easy to let fear take over. Fear whispers, "You're not going to make it. This is too much for you. God's not listening." But faith silences those lies. Faith says, "This is hard, but God is with me. This hurts, but he has a plan. I don't understand, but I trust him." Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He knew the pain that was coming, the betrayal, the torture, the cross. In his humanity, he prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, May this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26 verse 39. Even in his agony, Jesus chose to trust God's plan. And because of his obedience, the greatest pain in history became the greatest act of redemption. You have that same choice. Will you let your pain paralyze you, or will you let it propel you into your purpose? From brokenness to breakthrough. Some of the most inspiring stories in the Bible are of people who experienced breakthrough after seasons of deep pain. Think about David. Before he became king, he spent years running for his life, hiding in caves and wondering when God's promise would come to pass. But in those years, David's faith grew stronger. He learned to rely on God, to worship him in the midst of the storm. And when the breakthrough finally came, David was ready. He stepped into his role as king with a heart shaped by the trials he had endured. Your breakthrough is coming, too. It might not look the way you expect, and it might not happen on your timeline, but God's timing is perfect. Keep trusting him. Keep seeking him. Keep believing that he is working all things together for your good. Finding purpose in helping others. One of the most beautiful ways God redeems our pain is by using it to help others. The scars you carry, the battles you fought, they become your testimony, your ministry. Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 1 verses 3-4, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." When you share your story, when you use your pain to encourage and uplift others, you're living out your divine purpose. You're turning your trials into a testimony, your wounds into wisdom, your heartbreak into hope. Steps to embrace your divine purpose amid pain. Surrender your pain to God. Don't try to carry it alone. Lay it at his feet. Trust that he sees you, he loves you, and he is working in ways you can't yet see. Look for the lessons. Ask yourself, what is God teaching me through this? How is he growing my faith? Pain often reveals strengths and qualities we didn't know we had. Stay connected to community. Isolation can magnify pain, but community can bring healing. Surround yourself with people who will pray for you, encourage you, and remind you of God's promises. Keep moving forward. Don't let pain keep you stuck. Take small steps of faith each day. Trust that God will guide your path, even when you can't see the way ahead. Celebrate God's faithfulness. Look back on the times he has brought you through before. Remember his goodness, and let it fuel your hope for the future. Your pain has a purpose. Let me leave you with this. No pain is wasted in God's hands. What you're going through right now is not meaningless. It's part of a bigger story, a divine purpose that is greater than anything you can imagine. So hold on. Trust him. Believe that he is with you in the pain, that he is for you, and that he is working all things together for your good. Just as Joseph's journey led him from the pit to the palace, your journey is leading you to a place of purpose, a place of impact, a place of victory. Child of God, your pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of something beautiful. Embrace it, grow through it, and watch as God turns it into something far greater than you could ever dream.